Former super lightweight champion Danny Garcia thought that he may be able to secure another victory as a world champion and titleist when he took on Erislandy Lara. But Lara had different plans. Let's talk about what happened with this fight and Lara. The fight that took place Saturday, September 14th, between Erislandy Lara and Danny Garcia proved to be a truth-telling story for both fighters. For Garcia, it was telling the truth of a fighter who had been out of the ring for a stint and wanted to come back to challenge for a world title in another division, and Lara, who wanted the respect as a titleist in an era where he has been avoided like the plague. And the way that things played out, we saw that both men got their answers quite early in the bout. And as it started out, you could see that both men came in close in size, but definitely a difference in girth and reach and power. Lara, now after the bout, his record has jumped to 31-3-3 with 19 KOs. When you look over that record, you're seeing the fact that there are 6 fights on that record that not only could have gone either way, but 3 of those 6 could have been home cooking because Lara is a Cuban fighter. And Lara has come into the sport with a display of skills that have been seen by fighters of other era gone by. But it was the way that he came out against Danny Garcia that made me take note. As I watched this fight, I noticed that Danny, whose record now has dropped after the fight to 37-4 with 21 KOs, he came out apprehensive. There has to be something about a fighter who has the experience of Garcia that he wouldn't let his hands go. And what I surmise is that it was the southpaw stance and position of Lara, along with having some heavy mitts, that made Danny keep his hands at home. But that's not something that Danny is surprisingly on the cusp about, because even in his fight against Errol Spence, his dad was trying to encourage him to be more active and to go after Spence. But what I have noticed is there is something about Lara that many people don't pay attention to. There are fighters on his record that he had lost to. He lost to Jarrett Hurd, Canelo Alvarez, and Paul Williams. All three of those champions are fighters that prevailed over Lara, but they had close bouts, split decisions, majority decisions, and those are the type of fights that are kind of more 50-50 than anything. Many people thought that Alvarez lost against him, and Paul Williams was at a point where he was boxing very well in his career. So Lara, at that time, being more of an elusive defensive fighter and moving laterally a lot more, he changed things up as he began to age. And we see now that the other fights that are mentioned on that record that saw him with those split and divided decisions against Brian Castano, Vanes Martirosyan, and Molina. When we think about those fighters, what we see is he could have had the decisions totally and outright, but there has always been something keeping him from getting those victories. I think it's political, but what it tells me also about Erislandy is he has always been a formidable fighter in this era, and now that he's 41 years of age, on the record books, he's still defeating his contemporaries when they are brave enough to step up to the plate. And that's what Danny tried to do, show bravery. He didn't let his hands go, but he fought defensively, a bit shy and timid, until Lara began to score. I don't know if it's the weight, because Danny may be a natural super lightweight, or if it is just the fact that he hadn't been in against top opposition in a few years for Danny, but it didn't look well once Lara began to land solidly. And he pulled back. He wasn't looking to engage or exchange. His recent fight in July of 2022 saw Danny have a majority decision over Jose Benavidez Jr. And that's a situation that you have to wonder and question, because he should have beat him soundly, but it was a majority decision. And the inactivity proved to show its ugly head as he found himself on the canvas in this fight. I didn't like seeing Danny in that position, but what we noticed about it is that once he touched the canvas, he had no more fight in him. In the 8th round, it saw Lara drop him, and as the bell ended because he beat the count, as the bell ended to the round, Danny walked back to his corner and gave his dad the indication that he didn't want to continue anymore. And so the fight was called off between the 8th and 9th round. It's very unfortunate for Danny, but he just bit off a bit more than he could chew. And we can salute him for giving it the old college try, but he should have known far better. As far as Lara, is he destined for the Hall of Fame? And not because of he beat the likes of Danny, and Danny beat a number of quality fighters in his career, but Lara has always been there and been that man avoided. The Cuban fighters are noted for being great boxers, having tremendous movement, and being able to get in and out, and sometimes punish opponents with ferocity of punching power. Since he began to settle down on his punches, Lara is stopping men more and more. Going all the way back to 2021, he's had 3 consecutive knockouts, 4 if you count this most recent outing with Danny Garcia. There's something going on with Erislandy Lara, and people should take note and give respect. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about Erislandy Lara, and is he Hall of Fame destined? Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.